What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to welcome you all to another edition of Wayne's Perspective, where we operate in discipline, decency, integrity, and respect. Before I get, before I get started with today's video, I hope everyone is doing okay. We're one day away from mid-May, and like I said in the previous video, it's like the month just got here. Mother's Day came and went, and now here we are. But as I said, time continues to move very fast. I mean, I'm sure most of us are saying that, but it's all good. Like I said, time is on the move. Next thing you know, it's going to be June, and as most of you know, I turned 40 on June 25th. So, looking forward to that day, even though I still have no concrete plans right now. But like I said, I hope everyone is doing okay. As for me, I'm doing just fine, one day at a time. Y'all know how I do. It's a rainy slash dreary day here in the 804, but it's all good. Other than that, I'm doing just fine. So, continuing on, as you can see by the title, we're heading to another session of my political thoughts, and this one will focus on the House of Representatives. And before I get started, further. I did already make a video talking about this yesterday, May 13th, but I had a lot of technical difficulties. And when it came time to upload the video, it was taking all day for some reason. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and scrape this and do it over. And plus, I tried to do the read aloud with the article itself, but it wasn't working like I wanted. So, so I went ahead and scraped that. So I'll just come back up here and do it again. So, without further delay, let's go ahead and get to it. So this is going to come courtesy of an article, courtesy of the Bulwark, and I'll go ahead and get my screen share so we can bring it up. All right. Okay. So let's see. Basically, before I get started with this, and I am going to read the entire thing verbatim. As you all know, I did say that I do have political aspirations. Currently, well, not currently, but once I return to school, I'm still going to be in the midst of my academic journey, with the academic part of my journey. And once I do receive my master's degree, I am going to get my political start in the Virginia House of Delegates. I do plan to serve at least 2 terms. However, the ultimate goal is to be elected to the United States House of Representatives. So those are my political aspirations. I just wanted to mention those again. But other than that, I am going to talk here about the House of Representatives. And as this article is going to mention, I mean, it's the most unproductive session of Congress in its history. And even going into the elections, going back to 2022, myself and others were pretty much talking about this, what was going to happen if you allow the Republicans to get back in power. And, what we've seen is nothing short of what we were expecting, and if anybody thought that these guys and gals were going to do anything regarding immigration, gas prices, and inflation and everything else that they railed against, congratulations, you played yourself. We all saw it, and if anybody thought that they were going to do anything that represented the people per se, you were sadly mistaken, and we're seeing it, we're seeing it in real time. And this article right here is going to break it down, So without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and get to it, y'all. So again, this is courtesy of the Bulwark. Credit to A.B. Studdard for this article, which came out on May 13th, which was yesterday. I am going to put the link to this in the description box. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get started. So it says Republicans broke the House with voters' care, the failed, the weird, and the ugly. 15 rounds of voting to make Kevin McCarthy Speaker in January of last year was not enough of an international embarrassment. Just 9 months later, McCarthy was toppled, and the House of Representatives ground to a halt as the Republicans scrounged around for someone to serve third in line to the presidency. They needed an election denier who would meet with approval for Matt Gaetz, the fourth-term congressman who had led both revolts against McCarthy in January and September. It took 3 weeks. House Speaker Mike Johnson made it less than 9 months before his job was also challenged. Last week, 163 Democrats voted to ensure he could keep it. Marjorie Taylor Greene was roundly criticized by her fellow Republicans for using the motion to vacate to try and oust Johnson. Donald Trump and most of them have decided now is not the time to dump Johnson because they have already inflicted enough political damage for an election year. Even so, Johnson still needed the Democrats' votes, which is the story of the entire 118 Congress. And let me start right there for a minute. Okay, so now regarding Mike Johnson, I'm pretty sure if I got in the room with this guy, I wouldn't, we wouldn't agree on much. But I will say that, apparently something has clicked within the last month or so, and he's starting to do his job barely. He doesn't deserve any praise. This is no quote unquote reset or anything like that. He's doing his damn job. So with that being said, I give him a little bit of credit based on what he has done over the last few months. And the fact that it took 163 Democrats to ensure that he keep his job, that shows who the true adults in the room are. Now, this article is going to highlight it, but now if this was in reverse, would the Republicans do the same? Most likely not, you know. But I give him a decent amount of credit for at least doing his job under these circumstances. And it's no surprise that the Democrats, bailed them out. And I think I'm going to mention that a little bit as the article goes on. And speaking of Mike Johnson, so as we speak, today Trump's trial in New York is still going on. So he was there. Vivek Ramaswamy was there too. And I think Byron Donalds was there too, pretty much, playing the whole suck up game, Donald Trump, and I mean, what's the big deal regarding who he's going to pick as his vice president nominee? I mean, who cares? At least that's how I'm looking at it, because there's this like hype surrounding who he's going to pick. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We all saw what happened with Mike Pence. So what makes anybody think that anybody who's going to serve in that role, assuming that he's going to win, is going to be any more effective than what Mike Pence was? You know what I'm saying? So other than that, it's just like conduct that's unbecoming of a speaker to, be, taking this route. Give me 1 second, y'all. Sorry about that. So yeah, he was there today along with some other people, just quote unquote showing support. And I guarantee you, considering that Donald Trump like sort of came to his aid when it came to the speakership, now he felt he has to do something in return. I'm like, whatever, man. So again, you get a brief amount of credit for the job that you've done over the last few months, but let's keep it clear. Mike Johnson is still Mike Johnson. That's why he was there today. Ain't nothing changed. And I just hope I don't see an article or a news clip of somebody asking, is there a reset or will there be a reset? Because trust me, I'm gonna do a video about that if I see one, because it ain't no resets with any of these cats. So let's move on. In addition to being the least productive Congress in our lifetime, that's for damn sure, the stain this Republican majority has left on the lower chamber will make history. Controlled by a rump group of whiners and drama queens, it has functioned only with the good faith of the minority, the enemy, Democrats. Again, it's usually in cases like this, and I'm gonna stop right there. In cases like this, it's usually the Democrats who save the day. Now, for all that talk about, what do the Democrats do when the Democrats don't do this and they don't do that, it's usually the Democrats that's the adults in the room. One party wants to gaslight, another party wants to govern. One party wants to do what's best for the American people, another party wants to do what's best for Donald Trump and only what's best for Donald Trump. So it's no secret here. And then I think about other instances where it's like when the Republicans get in and do this and that, it's usually the Democrats that have to come back in and save the day. Like, for example, when Bush left office back in 2008, Obama came behind him and had to clean up George W. Bush's mess, just like when there's a Republican governor, and I use my state as an example, now granted, Governor Glenn Youngkin, we don't agree on much, but at least the guy conducts himself with some dignity. So when our governor race comes up, I believe it's either this year or next year, y'all will correct me on that. It's not going to be too much of a mess after him. I'll say that. and I am going to talk about some recent happenings in my state within the next couple of videos or whatever. So stay tuned for that. But overall, when the Republicans get in and make their messes, it's usually the Democrats who have to come back in and save the day and clean up their mess. And then when you put a Republican back in power, it's the same thing all over again. Rinse, repeat, you know. And the case with this House, it's no secret that that's what we got, you know. And I go back to what I said in the beginning. You know, we all knew what was going to happen when the Republicans regain control of the House of Representatives, and we saw it in real time. We still seeing it in real time, you know, and it's just crazy. And for anybody thinking that they were going to do anything resembling work, you're sadly mistaken. They didn't give a damn about um, the economy. They didn't give a damn about gas prices. They didn't give a damn about inflation. They didn't give a damn about the border. None of that. You know, all of that was just gaslighting to get in power. You know, and then again, why do you want this power so bad if all you're going to do is just basically be, you know, whole anti that well, what's the word I'm looking for? A whole antithetical. That may or may not be the best word, but y'all work with me here. Antithetical views when it comes to governing. You know, if you don't want to govern, don't run for Congress. It's that simple, you know. And it takes me back to an example that I would normally use sometime. Like, imagine if there was a self-respected businessman who had all the credentials in the world, had all the money in the world, and the experience, you name it. But for some strange reason, this guy decided that he wanted to start a pro wrestling company. The only thing is that he hates professional wrestling. Now, tell me, what does that make sense? You know, why would somebody involve themselves in the pro wrestling business when they hate pro wrestling? Is it the money? Is the money that good when you can use your talents elsewhere? You see what I'm saying? And it's like, it's obvious that most of these cats probably do have other talents that they can do. And why you want to get into Congress when you have no intention of governing it makes no sense to me. You know, it can't be just about money and power, you know. And if that's the route that you want to go, it's other avenues you can take to obtain and use your money and power. That may not be the best example of, but I mean, that's the thing here, you know. So continuing on, y'all, I just wanted to make those points clear. So continuing on with the article, throughout nearly 18 months of chronic chaos, infighting, and gridlock on every consequential bill, from funding the government to raising the debt ceiling to FISA reform and foreign aid, Democrats have provided votes when Republican leaders didn't have them. And let me address that before I move on. So, question to the Republican voters: when it comes to chronic chaos, infighting, and gridlock, do any of you find that entertaining? Is that what this is about? You know, is the whole thing about just sticking it to Joe Biden? You know, that was the reason why you voted to give the Republicans power. Is that what this is about? Or you're so mad at the Democrats that you're going to conduct a protest vote and be satisfied with what we're getting? You know, is it a satisfying thing to see little to no movement in one of the two branches of government? You know, in this case, the House of Representatives. I mean, is this entertaining? That's the main question here. You know, that's what I want to know. You know, and again, Democrats have provided votes when Republican leaders didn't have them. You know, so who's the adults in the room? You know, let me know. All right. So continuing on, at every turn, the Democrats have sat on their hands and let McCarthy and Johnson and their cannibal caucus own it. But every time, they instead stepped in to clean up a mess. The Republican nihilists have repeatedly refused to cooperate or compromise on critical legislation, then lambasted their leaders as the uniparty for relying on votes from the Democrats. Imagine how that works. The dysfunction and corresponding bitterness have produced not only recriminations, but retirements and resignations, thinning the GOP ranks to a one-seat margin of control. So again, to the Republican voters, I ask you, refusing to cooperate or compromise on critical legislation, is that fun? Is that entertaining? Is that the way that you're supposed to govern? Is this a good way to stick it to Joe Biden? Is this a way for you to, you know, do something or act in protest because you're mad at the Democrats? I mean, is that what this is about? You know, I mean, it's crazy to me, you know. And then another question is having a one seat majority. Is that something to be proud of? Is that something to celebrate? As long as you're in power, it doesn't matter what margin of control you have. So let me know. Let me know something. So continuing on. Of the 22 Republicans who have announced their departures, 5 of them have already left, unwilling to stick it out until the election. The total number includes 4 committee chairs, 8 subcommittee chairs, and 8 members of the Powerful Energy and Commerce Committee. No surprise there. Of course, while many House Republicans have grown to loathe one another and the responsibility of governing, their organizing principle is Democrat hate. Of course it is. There is no one in either party who thinks Republicans will ever do the same to help Hakeem Jeffries or any Democrat keep the Speaker's gavel. The GOP base will never allow it. And I agree with that. They wouldn't do the same thing if this was, if the situation was in reverse. I know they wouldn't. No surprise there. And I think Hakeem Jeffries know it too. Indeed, the bipartisan display in support of governing stability on the House floor last week was just too much for Eric Burlison. The first-term Republican from Missouri voted with Green against tabling the motion to vacate because while he said he didn't feel it was the right time to oust another speaker and it might be hard to find a new one, he admitted, "I just could not stomach voting with Democrats to avoid a vote." Whatever, man. Johnson tried to pretend the vote to table Green's motion will usher in a new beginning and somehow the tantrums would cease. Hopefully, this is the end of the personality, politics, and the frivolous character assassination that has defined the 118th Congress. Good luck with that. It's regrettable. It's not who we are as Americans, and we're better than this. We need to get beyond it, Johnson said after the vote. Yes, Mr. Speaker, this is not who we are as Americans because we are all better than the House GOP conference. Amen. While House Republicans are explicitly contemptuous of governance, see what I mean? They brought down so many of their own rules this Congress, they broke a more than 20-year record. Many seem to believe the role of the majority is to campaign for Trump. That's exactly what it is. I mean, why are you here? Why are you there? Excuse me. That's all it is, trying to run interference with Donald Trump, and whatever he says goes. That's exactly what it's about. And it ain't lost on me, and it shouldn't be lost on you either. And I hope people think about that when it comes time to vote in November. After failing through more than a year of investigations and hearings into multiple members of the Biden family to locate any evidence of an impeachable offense that they could pin on President Joe Biden, some House Republicans now want to impeach him for shifting his Israel policy. See, you can't please everybody. You can't satisfy everybody. And yes, those years of investigations, which had, those committees and the Republicans just looking like damn fools, just trying to find any and everything depending on Joe Biden when it comes to impeachment. Donald Trump said we need to impeach, so we're going to do it. We're going to do whatever he says because Lord knows he doesn't say anything wrong or incorrect. Whatever he says goes. He's the one that's calling the shots, apparently. And it's also embarrassing and crazy to think that them guys, they were intent and bent on finding something. And even when you tell them that there's no evidence and they're not finding anything, and and even some of the witnesses they put up there have credibility issues, they still insist on going ahead. Like they determined to find something by any means necessary. And if you tell them that there's no evidence, they're gonna pretty much say, well, I say it is, that whole thing. And then let me make one more comment before I continue. So I remember it was either, I think in 2022 or 2023, I saw a clip and there was a Jamal Bowman. He represents New York. And of course, y'all know who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. She represents Georgia. Bless their hearts. They were having, I would call a political friendly banter. And I believe it was outside the Capitol. And, it wasn't tense or heated or anything like that. But they were having, some type of banter. And then out of nowhere, here comes Marjorie Taylor Greene. Impeach Biden. Impeach Biden. And I'm like, girl, sit down. And like trying to turn it into a little cheer, or like somebody was going to come up behind her and start cheering. And she had this like big Kool-Aid smile on her face like it was a joke. And again, like I say in previous videos, everything is a damn joke. And when it comes to an impeachment, that should not be a joke. That should be treated as the serious matter that it is, you know. And like I said, impeach Biden, girl, sit your ass down. I mean, really? And every time I see that, every time I saw it, rather, it just made me shake my head. And of course, she would do like a little Persuado news conference a couple of days later, talk about some um, Jamal Bowman was being aggressive and she kind of feared for her safety. Like, girl, we see what you're doing. There was no reason for you to be in fear of your safety or feel as though he was being aggressive. You was into that conversation just as much as he was, you know. So kill me with that mess. Let's move on, y'all, before I get mad. um, Using the same language Democrats used in their resolution when they impeached Trump for attempting to extort the president of Ukraine back in 2019, Republicans accused Biden of abusing his power by soliciting a quid pro quo in withholding certain weapons from the Israelis to use in Rafah. Now, that was not the same damn thing that Trump tried to attempt in 2019. Stop it. What the quid was, what Biden supposedly got in exchange for withholding bombs, is not something that Republicans are especially clear about because there's nothing there. But that's not the point when you're fundraising and trying to get on Newsmax. See, that's the type of shit that I'm talking about right there. Excuse my French, y'all. Representative Jim Jordan, who is the evolving MAGA GOP now, hold on, excuse me. Representative Jim Jordan, who in the evolving MAGA GOP is now considered future speaker material by who, decided last week he wants Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis's ex-boyfriend Nathan Wade to come testify before Congress after the relationship already tanked any prospect of this case coming to trial before the election. There are serious concerns about your role in the politically motivated prosecution initiated by Ms. Willis against President Donald J. Trump. Jordan wrote, inviting Wade to speak voluntarily to the Judiciary Committee. Now, I'll be surprised if Nathan Wade goes there. I don't think he should go, and I'm just going to offer brief thoughts on this, and then I'll move on. So, now I didn't have my YouTube channel at the time, but I remember all of the controversy and the videos surrounding Fonnie Willis and her behavior. Now, I'll say this, you know, now I'm not supporting her because she's a black woman, and at the same time, the backlash, if you would, that she was getting was not because she was a black woman. It was because of the level of conduct she was, you know, she was engaged in while in the role of district attorney. You know, you should be conducting yourself on a much higher level than what she was doing. And I said then and I'll say it now, if she was convicted of acting inappropriately, she should have been removed. But at the same time, don't dismiss the case because it's quite a bit of evidence in that case to just outright dismiss it and go about your business. You know, so that's my thoughts on that. I don't have really anything else to add. You know, if she was convicted of acting inappropriately, you remove her and you put somebody else in that spot, but that didn't happen. So, and then like the article says here, that trial is not going to come before the election, no surprise to me. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Miss Willis and Mr. Wade. So we can move on. It's easy to laugh, and some of the GOP's own voters must also find this effort ludicrous, but Republicans' disregard for any responsibility to the American people and the multitude of issues the Congress could be working on to help them is breathtaking. I agree. When they aren't being partisan or brawling with their own colleagues, some House Republicans just get weird. They like to focus on things that don't exist, like Ghostbusters or Sharia law being forced upon Americans. And in addition to that, I've seen some clips, they want to do legislation regarding like some like refrigerator protection or something like that, claiming that the Biden administration was coming after your refrigerators, which is silly. It would never go anywhere in the Senate, and it would never be signed into law. That was one thing I believe in 2022 when they was claiming that the Biden administration was coming for your burgers. I mean, just true nonsense. Like, y'all got time to bring up legislation like this instead of dealing with real issues, but the refrigeration thing, and other household appliances and stuff like that, like appliance acts, that just really like made me shake my head in shame and disgust. It's like, really, I mean, come on. And go look it up, y'all. Y'all will find some interesting clips on YouTube. I mean, really, let's move on here. I mean, refrigerator protection and all sorts of things related. It's crazy. And when they're not being weird, some of them can get ugly. Mike Collins thinks he's a pretty funny tweeter, and a week after praising Ole, Mississippi students in a video where one can be seen taunting a black woman, he made fun of members of the Kennedy family being assassinated. Chip Roy came out with it last week. He just doesn't want foreign-born immigrants having too many citizen children in the United States. Scott Perry believes we are important people who want to come to America but have no interest in being Americans. He wants his colleagues to know that replacement theory is real, it's not, and that they added white to it to stop everybody from talking about it. Perry, an eager participant on Team Coup in 2020, also believes that the KKK is the military wing of the Democratic Party. I'm not going to dignify that last comment with any kind of response because it's ridiculous on its face. But you see these comments here, they don't have no shame in saying this stuff and making it public, just emboldened like most of them are. And then, when you call them out on it, they'll either try to claim that they didn't say it or they'll double down, in the midst of the backlash or whatever. Or you'll have some people come out and claim it's a joke. And like I always said, everything is a damn joke, right? Okay. And replacement theory, there's no such thing, and I mean, this is who is in the majority now, bless our hearts. Throughout, Democrats have been united. Under Jeffrey's leadership, they have shown remarkable restraint. I agree 100%. Despite internal disagreements, particularly on the war in Gaza, no Democratic family fights have broken out into the open. That's true. Now any environment like this, there's going to be some disagreements. No party or group is going to agree on every single thing. What counts is how you manage all this stuff. And the Democrats are doing it. The Republicans are not. Now trust and believe. If the Democrats were fighting like the Republicans and it was worse, trust me, it'll be a news story. Everybody will be talking about it. CNN, MSNBC, Fox, you'll see online articles about it. I mean, it'll be a much bigger story because you're not accustomed to that sort of thing, at least in these days and times. It makes sense that Democrats are outraising Republicans. It must be demoralizing to fund the GOP shit show. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee hauled in $45.4 million in the first quarter this year, $21.4 million of which was raised in March, leaving the DCCC with $71.1 million, $15 million more than the National Republican Congressional Committee. Yet to date, there is no evidence of voter backlash against House Republicans, who have led the general ballot and polling several times this cycle. Democrats are ahead now only slightly by 0.7%, according to 538. And it's crazy that there's no voter backlash, but I guarantee you the backlash will be there if the Democrats acted like this, and the House Republicans will be highlighted every single day. You think they wouldn't? Come on now. Unlike the Senate, where the map favors a Republican takeover, I hope that's not true. The race for the House is a coin toss. The House GOP is begging to lose their majority. Instead of more power, many of them are in need of professional help. Voters should heed their call. Amen. So, so with all that being said, it should be another 2024 years before the Republicans see any type of control in the House of Representatives. When you consider this 118th Congress, these guys should be nowhere near the majority ever again, ever, because we see what happens. It's clear to me. It was clear the day that I saw the notification come up on my phone that the House Republicans had won the majority, and I just shook my head. I was like, yeah, we in for it, and we've been saying it ever since, And I just hope that, I know I am, but I just hope everybody does their part in November. We got to make this House blue, keep the Senate blue, and definitely keep the White House blue. I'm just being honest with y'all. Y'all know where I stand, So, we got to continue to be productive here. An unproductive Congress helps no one. All it does is just hurt things, and it just makes the people look at Congress as an unfunctional body, and the approval rates would just continue to go downward because of stuff like this. Now, granted, it's going to take a lot for them to get up, but when you see stuff like this, it's no wonder why the majority of the people don't like politicians. Now, you would think, okay, why would I want to be in such a environment? Well, I want to help my district, I want to serve the people, and I want to make a difference. That's why I want to get involved. You know, yes, do I want to be compensated for my work? Yes, but I want to get involved and help not just my people, but all the people in my district and my state. Damn straight. And I want to close with this. Now, I don't subscribe to or bother with that Democratic plantation nonsense. And I'll say this going forward. I'd rather be a part of the so-called Democratic plantation with a party that has the best interests of my people in mind than to be a card-carrying member of the Republican cult with a crew of individuals who don't want to see my people progress in any form. And the only thing that matters is what's good for Donald damn Trump. And with that, y'all, I'm done with this particular video. Again, credit to AB Stutter for this article. Right. So on that note, y'all, let me know what you think. Let me know, do you agree with the article? Do you agree with my thoughts? Do you think that the Democrats have a shot at not just retaking the House, but expanding on their majority? Or by some stretch of the imagination, do you think the Republicans are going to keep the House and expand on their majority? Let me know what you think. But other than that, y'all, if you like what you heard and you're ready to become part of Team Discipline, go ahead and hit that like button. And last but not least, hit that subscribe button along with the bell so you're notified when I drop new videos. And until next time, my people, take care of yourselves and remember the power of the mind is valuable.